Hi, I'm Sharon Hodgson. I am the Senior Financial Aid Assistant here at Jamestown Community College, Cattauraugus County campus. First of all, we want to talk about the philosophy of who's responsible to pay for your education. The government says that the first obligation to pay for a student's education belongs to the student and their family. And that's why for most students, when you fill out the FAFSA, you need to report your information as well as your parents' information. Most of the financial aid that you apply for is federal or state financial aid, and so you need to fill out the federal applications and the state applications. Your federal application, of course, is the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and you complete that and submit that to the federal government. If you're a New York State resident attending a New York State school, then you may be eligible for state aid, and in that case you want to apply to New York State. And you'll fill out the TAP application, which stands for Tuition Assistance Program. If you're an out-of-state student, you're probably not going to be eligible for state aid. Most states limit financial aid to students who are residents of their state and attending colleges in their state. There are limits to federal and state financial aid. For New York State financial aid, you can get up to 8 semesters of TAP total for a bachelor's degree, for a 4-year degree. If you're attending a 2-year school, such as JCC, you can use up to 6 of those 8 semesters at a 2-year school. And if you use all 6 at the 2-year school, then you'll only have 2 remaining when you go on for your bachelor's degree at a 4-year school if you transfer on when you leave. For federal financial aid, there are some limits. You can get up to 6 years of full-time benefits, a Pell Grant. So in other words, if you went for 6 years full-time fall and spring and used the Pell Grant every one of those semesters, then you would be done after that. There are also limits on student loans, but we're not going to get into that today because that gets quite in-depth. So we have limits for federal and state financial aid, so you want to be careful when you're using your financial aid that you don't use it up before you meet your goal of getting your degree. There are also academic requirements that you need to be aware of that you have to meet, and there's a lengthy list, quite a lengthy list of requirements, such as you have to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen. But the main ones that you need to be aware of is that you have to be matriculated in a degree or certificate program. So if you're just going to take a course here or there and you're not matriculating into a degree program and working towards a degree, then you would not be eligible for federal or state financial aid. You must be matriculated in a degree program, and you must be registered in courses for that degree in order to be eligible for financial aid for that particular semester. So for example, if you were here at JCC and you were matriculated in the criminal justice program, in order to be eligible for financial aid that semester, federal and or state financial aid, you would have to be in courses that will meet a degree requirement for that degree here at JCC. Sometimes students are taking courses that they know will transfer on to their 4-year degree program. That's okay, but if you aren't in courses required for your degree here, you won't be eligible for financial aid for those courses and possibly for the whole semester. So you always want to check with us if you're not sure what that requirement is. And your academic advisor also, of course, will help you to choose courses that you need for your degree here at JCC. Both the federal and state government also require that you meet satisfactory academic progress requirements. And again, that is gets quite in depth. We're not going to cover everything on that, but what you need to be aware of is that you have to complete a certain number of credit hours, and you have to maintain a certain grade point average or higher. Once you've been here a while and have been at the top level of the chart, you have to have at least a 2.0. It starts lower and it goes up to a maximum of 2.0 grade point average. So if you maintain a 2.0 or higher grade point average all the way through your college education, then you probably are not going to have any problems. Again, you also have to complete a certain number of credit hours. So if, for example, you are going to need to withdraw from a course or two, or even from a whole semester, you want to check with the financial aid office and see if it's going to affect your financial aid for the current semester and also for when you return. If for some reason you don't pass some of your courses or all of your courses, again, you're going to want to check with the financial aid office to see if it's going to affect your financial aid. So what happens if you don't qualify for your financial aid any longer and you lose your financial aid? Well, you do have a couple of options. The first time that you don't meet satisfactory academic progress for federal financial aid, the federal government allows a one-time auto waiver. So you'll be able to, they basically give you a second chance. You'll be able to receive your federal financial aid, and hopefully you'll do well enough that semester that you'll get back on track, meet the requirements for the following semester, and therefore never lose your federal financial aid. If you do not meet the requirements a second semester, then you would lose your federal financial aid, which is your federal grants, student loans, and federal work study. If you did poorly because of serious extenuating circumstances, for example, you were in a car accident and had to miss a lot of a semester or more, then you could request a waiver through the financial aid office. And you would want to check with the financial aid office and get the paperwork and submit your waiver request to the financial aid office, and we would determine if we could grant a waiver for federal financial aid or not. If you lost your state aid, there is no automatic waiver for state aid. The first time that you don't meet it, you would lose your requirements, but again, if you had a serious extenuating circumstance, you could request a waiver for state aid also. However, there is, you can only use a waiver once ever for state aid, and after that, of course, there's no waivers left for state aid. If you do lose your aid and you're not eligible for a waiver, you have a couple of options. You can pay out of pocket, of course, that's always an option. At JCC and most colleges, the business office will have a payment plan. If you're not able to make a lump sum payment and pay your bill in full, you can set up a payment plan with the business office. Also, you can look into alternative student loans. Alternative student loans is not federal financial aid. It's basically going to a private lender, a bank or a credit union, and applying for an alternative student loan, which is basically a personal loan. You need to have good credit, and if you don't have good credit, then you would probably have to have a co-signer. So, basically that's it. You want to make sure you apply for all the aid that you are eligible to receive. You want to make sure you apply to the federal government for your federal aid, and if you're eligible for state aid, you want to apply to the state for your state aid. And remember, if you have any problems, if you have to withdraw, if you have to drop, if you don't pass all of your courses, then you want to check with the financial aid office to see where you stand as far as satisfactory academic progress goes for your financial aid. So thank you very much and good luck.